Hey guys, how you doing? Hello. Hey guys, this is Jerry. Have any questions? Customs. We are in. Hey Bo, how you doing, Bo? Let's see, I can.
Weather Tracker Clint.
Say hello.
If you have any questions, ask me in the chat. Top. Hey Bo, do you have any questions? Customs. Um, we are. This is. For y'all. Yep.
Weather Tracker Clint.
Say hello.
If you have any questions, ask me in the chat.
K3 copy.
Copy.
Hello, hello.
Go ahead.
You can close out both of the 48s and say, but no complaint. They just requested patrol checks throughout the night due to the holiday.
That's fine.
36 of that.
Copy.
J3, that's
Copy.
Florida.
Copy. Copy.
36 for Penn.
Copy. Code for Burkhart.
One out to one report number. Someone number 1715 Double code ready. 2343 Inner Burlington 444. Okay. Two three two seven. If you want to just drive around the east side of the block, the J just ran off.
27 got you.
Two three two seven. After he came back.
Copy.
Three six nine. Be hope.
Copy.
$31 1497. Two three. Can I see the captain available?
10-4. Confirm.
Samtrack 4104. Can you make call, please?
10-4. Three three M 40 tone.
33804.
310-4. Sending a vehicle blocking a driveway. 16640 Rolando.
171. Texas Cameras for track. Couple answers.
Homeowner is reporting ongoing issues with neighbor parking in front of your RMP's driveway. It's going to be a white Ford F-150, California plate 39287 George 1. 1026 to 16631 Rolando.
33804.
411, correction 414, Whitesville.
10-4.
Two three Captain Rock.
Heavy.
Two seven two three. Where are you guys at right now?
We're in front of the apartment complex right now.
Andy Cowley.
Copy.
Sag. Hey Clint Brusher.
Two three to 270. You see my car just walked around most of that.
Copy.
Well, for the homeowner, he's advising code 4. He can close this out.
Silver 4, I'm sorry.
Checking for you can close it up and call back. Someone David 22, V909, no report.
I'm sorry. Copy. Attention for detail.
Go ahead.
Attention for sending you this Lawrence of detail. We'll call it 1021. Your Archie wants to make a tarot violation because her son called her and wished her a happy Mother's Day, but she's the one who shows restraint from the son, not the other way around.
Thanks, Bright. Copy.
There's his what we go for.
Copy, code 4. 41124.
You guys, I'm sorry.
We're going to be across
Andy
from
Cowley.
5893
Said.
Highland Road.
Any more tornado, tornado.
9 Henry Union Sam 460. It's on a Hyundai.
31, can you show me 7A, please?
Favor. Sorry, I'm sorry, friend. Attention ID out of both.
No. Right now.
Sorry, I'm sorry, friend. Attention ID out of both.
No. Right now. Not right now. Not right now. See, we have that. See, we have that. Call 282. Call 282. Fall for a car into a brick wall. Driver was out and disoriented. When I arrived on scene, driver was gone.
Not sure if you copy, but it's going to be for a farm patient.
Ooh.
Closer unit.
Burn patient.
So this looks like basically a hit and run.
That's for a burn patient. Ouch.
If the
537.
if the car is not reported stolen already, it's going to be reported stolen when the guy gets home. That's usually how it goes in Bakersfield. Huh.
Yeah.
Old River Road, patient last of life. I'm getting ready to
There's also no rear license plate. Wait, fire jack is yes.
OCD 519, we're on here. 519 copy. You're also responding into Metro 102.
It cracks me up when they act like it's something big.
31 minutes.
It cracks me up when they think it's something big, you know?
South Grant Drive for cardiac arrest, just 32.
What's popping inside you? What is that? Oh, it's HP? No? Oh, no?
This side of town be wild and
They are.
Enter 14 minutes to the front of Winco at 6801 Panama Lane.
what's up, Carlo? Carlo? I'm probably saying your name wrong. I'm sorry. But what up, brother? How you doing? We'll say hello over here. We try to say hello to everyone, but it's really hard. Kim, how you doing? Joanna, what's up, Joanna? What's up, Deborah? How you doing, Allison? What's up, girlie? Oh, Joyce wants a fireman calendar too.
Oh, shit.
We gotta do on a hot sunny day where they don't have their jackets or their shirts on, but they got the pants on and everything, and the other firefighters spraying the hose at them.
They would do it too.
You think so?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I have to talk to them and see.
Tell them, hey, Dad's Gonna Live wants to do like a calendar fundraiser. I'm being serious.
I know.
We'll do a calendar fundraiser because all the girls are gonna be buying them up, and all the proceeds will go towards.
You're gonna have to call the PIO personally and ask them about it.
But we'll
see if
put.
they could get permission for that.
But we would put all of the money profited towards something like some kind of charity or something. Would that not be cool?
That would be.
I'm not going to
back at this time.
What?
Copy, well, okay.
1103 Wilson and
5 Street for an assist fire. They've been landline for over 30 with an RCA reporting a medical problem. Staging. It's a 40-year-old female.
That call is going to be good.
I'm good.
Well, and they've been asking for help. And they keep on saying it's been holding, it's been holding.
No, they're looking around.
There's police.
That's all I know.
The once-in-a-generation tornado outbreak continues across Oklahoma.
We've never seen tornadoes like this before.
Time to crack open a
I don't
nice cold Red Bull. Cold as a rock.
I'll give you 1 week.
Alright, fellas.
Those
We got
actually
PhDs from NASA, FEMA,
Amen to that,
Kate,
Nikki. Thank
the
you.
smartest
What's up,
person
Fred?
I
How you
know.
doing?
Hey, dudes.
Lori, good seeing you.
This is from yours, I guess.
Who are they?
It's Tyler Roller. Calls himself a tornado
What's up,
ranger.
Talvish? Mary Jane Digital? Because the police are having...
And our crew is not like your crew.
Hey, how do you like that setup?
We don't need PhDs and fancy tech.
Way simpler. And you can if you only do YouTube, you live stream directly to YouTube and start
Sometimes the old ways are better than the new.
And if
Well,
you do
you can always
YouTube,
trust
you
a
live
guy
stream
with his
directly
face in a
to
t-shirt.
I just don't like the fact that I plug in the Bowser and it looks like
Are those fireworks?
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
I don't like that either. But when I take it out on my tripod,
You got quite the reputation, city girl.
a power pack.
You think you can
on my
disrupt
tripod.
a tornado.
In Dairy Farm. Good in the field.
I don't know. Hey, if I give you $1, will you eat a pup No?
You never had a chance?
You want one?
Well, the dog bones aren't very sweet.
Are you seeing this? We got twins! Twins! They're combining.
I think the quality's better than that
Go faster.
That's right.
Look at mine. Look at mine. I almost told you don't lean in too far. I don't want really good biting.
It's alright to be scared.
What's up, Wendy? How you
Here's the reason
doing?
you do
John? Is that a girl firefighter? Somebody finally said it.
Don't face
Absolutely.
your
That is
fears.
a female
You're right,
firefighter, guys. That is. Is she a mother? If she
You ever
is,
see
we
anything
gotta
like
go
this?
tell her.
I like this.
Holy crap, another 5 memberships. Thank you so much. Cookie, God bless you.
We'll be 1032 on it back again.
Good seeing you, bro. Stay safe. Thank you so much, Cookie. Thank you again for this. That's like 10 memberships you've done tonight. Later, bro. Thank you very, very, very much.
We're 1097 stage, miles 307.3. 511.
BB. I'm gonna have to throw my gear on and go walk around for a second. Hey, what's up? Let's go.
521, we've cleared the scene.
What's up, Savage Gamer? How you doing, brother?
32.
Charles, good seeing you, bro.
Copy 32.
She can rescue me anytime, says Brian. Hello, Butler. How you doing, brother?
Did they find
Who was that
something?
one?
White.
Why does that not look very good quality?
It's just because my phone's not dilating it.
Look at mine.
And just my phone's had the best signal over. That's why. So I could jump in yours.
Mine looks good.
Yeah.
Why does mine look good?
Because you're a different angle from it.
Damn, we got 450 people in here. That's awesome, man. And 56 people on Facebook. You're doing good. I'm glad. I'm glad. Yes, I said, sir, excuse me, sir. I don't think you could park there, sir.
Trinity 306, Sonic Priority 3.
I don't know why I talk so loud.
1404 Interlaken Drive with across the Zermatt for difficulty breathing.
Oh my hot lady, I need CPR from here.
Somebody's coming in. I tell you. It's going to be out of state or out
San
of country.
Jose.
Yeah.
That looks like it's in the desert.
From Mesca.
Oh, no, it's up past Elena.
Medic Male Lasta Sanchez with a Z, Zebra, first of Brandon, date of birth 3/28/2004.
Huh? Is that real?
37 medical aid. To the front of 10035 Casey Avenue for 911 hang up for ambulance to staging.
Oh, you know what it could have been?
Oh, it is.
Yeah, you know what it is? There's a chop shop built. Okay. This isn't a wrecked car, guys. This appears that somebody stole this car and stripped it and just left it here. It appears that somebody left this car, so there is no engine on the front of the car. It looks like they stripped this car down and dumped it on the side of the road. I see that. That's crazy. Yeah, it's a female firefighter and a female cop. I don't know why us men get so worked up over seeing a female in uniform. Oh wait, you ladies do the same thing with a man in uniform. Huh.
Digital agencies. Listen up. Duda introduces
looks like she knows her shiznits too.
the power.
Shout out to her, man. He waved at us.
He's waving at someone. The kid that just got talking. The kid over here.
I think he waved at us. I think it was yeah, the car has nothing to do with you guys. She waved at us.
Turn 7 station to Casey Avenue, South Line Road for an unknown person.
Not more than then. Alright guys, I want you guys to vote. Should we go to Taco Bell or McDonald's? I'm kind of thinking let's go to McDonald's tonight. If anyone wants to help out, it's really appreciated, but obviously not required. But I think we should go to McDonald's and get some hamburgers and hand out some hot dogs. I used to do that. I'm like, McDonald's mission to pull up.
Yeah.
What the heck? Everybody already sent a $5 super chat.
You know you got $5 you can force it down back to the plate. I'm also
Thank you for your center and our first contact and
yeah, it's in
Alright, I say screw it, let's go to McDonald's. I'm always a gas station.
I believe it.
It's only got like a 12 or 13 gallon tank.
That's it?
Yeah, it's a 4-banger.
Still good, better than mine.
Is that a car battery?
Where? Looked like it to me. When I dashed the car battery, I fell out before it crashed. Yeah, it is. It's a car battery.
I would go pick it up if it wasn't leaking acid.
Yeah, no point.
You get $5 at O'Reilly's. Did he hit it?
Almost. Oh shit, thinking of O'Reilly's.
Oh,
I need to go take my battery. Mine's starting to leak.
What the heck, Cookie? Another 5 memberships. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's 15 memberships she's done tonight. That's crazy. Thank you so much, Cookie. Do me a favor, guys. Tell Cookie thank you. Thank you very much. They are really tearing this up right now.
I hate it.
Well, it's about time they put some money in this area.
Yeah. This makes it really tricky to get through here, though.
Dang, it really does. It's right there.
You have to come in from the back end to want to sit up there. Now you can. Never mind. You can't even get out then.
Yeah, you can. Just go through here.
Oh, yeah.
Sweet Mary Jane.
You know, there's a street that's right here on the corner. So I can't remember what the hell they're doing. Like, there's a street right here on the corner that has the old-fashioned, not the marble, old tile wood street over here. Old wood on the old tile road. They used to be back in the day. She was like right here.
Check it out.
Yeah, I can't remember what street it is.
So, guys, while we're headed out, we're gonna head to McDonald's. I'm probably gonna spend like what, 30, 40 bucks. On some hamburgers. If you guys want to help out, it's greatly appreciated. I have to say something because I do need some help. Oh, it's all good, Phoebe. I'm glad you emailed me. I just saw that pop up. I'll try to get your sticker sent out in the next couple days. Thank you so much, Phoebe. So 2 things. We're gonna go to McDonald's right now, buy some hamburglers. I always call them hamburglers.
I was about to ask you about that.
I just said it since I was a kid. What's up, Chris? Of course you can say hi. What's up, buddy? Also, I want to give you guys a huge shout out to Discount Auto Glass
upset
over
stomach,
on South Union Avenue.
Indigestion,
if you guys have any auto glass needs
thanks
at
to a
all,
unique combination of herbs, Ibirogast helps relieve 6 digestive symptoms to help you feel better. 6 digestive symptoms.
if you guys want to
the
have,
power of nature.
if you
Ibirogast.
guys have any auto glass needs at all,
skills.
I think they even do window regulators
Should you become
and motors and
stranded,
stuff to
be
replace your
ready to
windows,
signal rescuers.
make them go up and down. They took care of me big time. Sorry,
How long have I been out here?
Hey, Wendy, you sent $5 over Cash App. Thank you so much.
Tornadoes are
Shout out to Wendy, guys. Thank you. Anyways, if you have any auto glass needs in Bakersfield, California, or you're just passing through, contact Rob with Discount Auto Glass over off South
talking
Union.
to myself, thinking, well, this is it.
They leave behind obliterated towns.
There were no houses left; they were all gone.
Oh, meet up?
Bewildered scientists.
I don't know if I can meet up on live.
Each tornado is unique, most dangerous, a few deadly.
Right now, we're just gonna get
From
10
the tremendous
hamburgers,
to the
guys.
terrifying to the tragic. This is a countdown to a mega tornado, one that experts believe will devastate a major
And happy
American
Mother's Day
city.
to all the... Yeah, I got an online code to get the credit. It's 7566. And I'll take 10 McDoubles.
The most ominous tornado warning comes when an apocalyptic-like darkness fills the sky.
Hey,
These
John,
clouds are
sent $5 super
precursors
chat.
to a
Thank you so
powerful
much.
storm, a supercell. Most tornadoes form when a violently rotating column of air stretches down from that supercell to touch the Earth. In general, the faster the wind speeds, the more dangerous the tornado. Surprisingly, relatively little is known about these giant killers. Scientists are literally chasing the mysteries of tornadoes across the Great Plains of the United States, better known as Tornado Alley. More than 400 tornadoes threaten to wreak a path of destruction here every year, far more than any other place in the world. The main reason? Ideal atmospheric conditions.
The mountains to the west, the Gulf of Mexico to the south, and the fact that there are no physical barriers between here and the North Pole means that we are frequently changing air masses from warm to cold and back again.
Tornadoes are measured using the F scale, F for Dr. Theodore Fujita, who classified tornado strength by estimating wind speed based on devastation. The smallest twisters are F-zeros. They can reach 116 kilometers per hour, about the equivalent of a small hurricane. At the other end of the scale are F5s, whose winds reach speeds of up to 512 kilometers per hour.
Back up! Back up! Keep going, keep going, keep going!
The tornadoes profiled here rise up the Fujita scale from an F2 that rips the roof off a house
Did you see that?
to an F5 that lays waste to an entire neighborhood. It's all leading up to a mega tornado, one that some scientists fear will ravage a primary city.
Weather tracker Clint.
111 kilometers
Set.
southwest of Wichita
Hello, waving
lies
head.
the small town of Attica, Kansas. Just over 600 people live here. It's a town you could easily miss. On May 12, 2004, a tornado didn't. On that day, the blue skies over Harper County fill with storm clouds. Shortly after 6 p.m., Dan Smithheisler heads into Attica.
I did some work for the banker in there. And I told his wife, I said, you know, it's going to storm today.
Several thunderstorms form over southern Kansas. One look at these storms tells 30-year veteran meteorologist Chuck Doswell they might be a breeding ground for tornadoes.
One of the important ingredients that produces a tornado that we're pretty sure is the wind at low levels has to change direction and speed rapidly with height. We call that vertical wind shear.
The vertical wind shear typically spins the air into an invisible cylinder. As the wind speed increases, it rises, the tornado intensifies, and the core pressure drops. Condensation from the dropping pressure builds down the funnel, creating a visible tornado. That's exactly what's happening in the southern Kansas sky. Harper County Emergency Management Director Mike Lorig gets the first tornado warning at 6:45.
And when they start giving us those warnings, we listen. And we say, hey, we need to start warning our public from there. We do not know if this is going to be an F-Zero or it's going to turn into the monster.
In Kansas, meteorologists carefully follow the thunderstorm as it tracks towards Attica.
About 7:25 in the evening, a F2 tornado had made it to ground right up here just on this hill. The path of it was right across here.
As Lorig watches in astonishment, the tornado tears the roof off a home directly in front of him.
Oh my God! Oh my God! The whole house came apart!
This act of violence is just one of many. The angry skies over Kansas are far from finished.
We thought, okay, hopefully things are over. We got emergency crews set up for that. And then the storm just suddenly, it took a life on its own.
Storm chasers tracking the Kansas supercell relay information to meteorologists using mobile Doppler radar. They report the tornado's wind speed, location, and one other startling fact: the storm is producing multiple tornadoes.
Look at that.
Storm chaser Yvette Richardson seen a supercell create more than one tornado before.
It can be a very dangerous situation because often people will be looking at the main tornado and feeling that as long as they're far enough away or they've taken cover that they should be completely safe.
Her team and others report seeing 16 tornadoes. They vary significantly in size and power. The biggest is an F4, roughly 160 kilometers per hour faster and with corresponding wind force about 3 times larger than an F2. The F4 heads straight for Dan and Donna Smith-Heisler's home.
I was listening to the radio and the TV, and they had it exactly pinpointed. They knew exactly where it was at.
Knowing a tornado's path gives potential victims an average of 12 minutes warning, enough time to save their lives. The Smith-Heislers get the warning, but Dan ignores it. Mesmerized by the golf ball-sized hail that often precedes a tornado, he refuses to join his wife down in the basement.
That scared me, and so I started screaming at him to get down, and the dog would not come down. He said, well, Sugar won't come. And she was going in the door, out the door, in the door. Dogs are smart. They know. So when I screamed at Sugar, then she came down. He came down.
We started hearing this popping noise. Well, we had a rack of canned goods over there.
Before.
And those cans were popping from the pressure change.
I can't even.
It sounded like popcorn going off over there.
The tornado batters Dan and Donna's home with winds estimated at more than 322 kilometers per hour.
And that's when I got hit on the head with cement or something, you know. I can still hear myself groan. All of a sudden, you're just going to like go with it. And that's where I was when he said, we're not going to make it. And that woke me up. And I said, oh, yes, we are too, you know. And you pray really hard.
The savage winds rip unrelentingly over the Smith-Heislers' home. When they finally stop, the couple emerge from their basement and into a war zone.
And I thought, where's the car? And then my next thought was, where's the garage?
The twister destroyed the couple's 2-story home, 5 barns, dismantled 5 cars, and killed their dog, Sugar.
The terror down there was the worst part. The terror.
The Smith-Heislers are lucky to be alive. With estimated wind speeds near 400 kilometers per hour, the F4 tornado easily destroyed their home. But even the earlier F2, with winds estimated at 240 kilometers per hour, was capable of ripping the roof off this home. But even the earlier F2, with winds estimated at physics, transform air into a lethal force. a concept scientists are laboring to understand.
What we are trying to do is simulate the tornado as best as we can. So we're actually comparing the wind which we generate here with the measurements made in the field. And the match is pretty good.
Sarka's Tornado Simulator is the first of its kind in the world. It uses dry ice to create a visual display of the wind inside a vortex. His machine can produce tornadoes up to 1.2 meters in diameter and 2.4 meters tall. It can reach peak wind speeds of 86 kilometers per hour. When combined with scale models, he's able to replicate damage much larger and faster tornadoes inflict on homes and other structures.
Normally, a portion of the roof fails and create a hole in the building, which then the flow starts getting inside, which then creates more load on the walls, and eventually those walls start failing.
Sarka's experiments conclude that the destructive force of circulating wind in an F3 or stronger tornado is at least 3 times more powerful than straight-line winds. Since few structures in Tornado Alley are designed to withstand even an F1's winds, this is stark proof that even the weakest tornado is capable of causing damage. The residents of Attica were thankful to have survived the fury of the 16 tornadoes that struck southern Kansas. But when a single F4 twister strikes a small Texas town, its bizarre behavior and surprising power threatens to destroy the entire city. And later, a megatornado strikes a major American city, something experts say will happen. In 2004, a single Kansas storm produced a swarm of tornadoes that ravaged homes, destroyed property, and terrorized hundreds. But the power and damage of that outbreak was far surpassed by the stunning force and unpredictable behavior of a single Texas twister. Pampa, Texas has had its share of luck. The town has prospered since oil was discovered here in 1921. Today, 17,000 residents work the hard soil, farming, ranching, and refining oil. But the town's location in the Texas Panhandle is also its biggest flaw. This is tornado country. On the afternoon of June 8, 1995, Pampa's luck ran out. Randy Stubblefield is a lifelong resident of Pampa. In his 2 years as sheriff, he's seen his share of violence, but nothing compares to what he's about to confront.
About 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we received a call that there was a large tornado was building on the south side of the Amarillo Highway, just about 1.5 miles from where we're standing now.
Stubblefield grabs his camcorder and rushes towards the twister.
I watched it building on the farmland on the north side of the railroad tracks, and it just started building, getting bigger and bigger.
Meteorologist Chuck Doswell is also chasing and filming the Pampa tornado.
The evolution of the Pampa tornado with respect to the parent thunderstorm was very unusual in my experience. I've never seen anything quite like it.
What Doswell sees is remarkable. The tornado is almost standing still.
Impossible to tell what's going on in there.
Then, suddenly, the tornado makes a sharp right turn. This odd behavior stuns Doswell.
Tornadoes move in a particular direction because they're tied to the storm that's producing them. And the storm that's producing them moves in a particular direction because it's embedded in a wind field which is pushing it in that direction.
But the Pampa tornado isn't moving in the same direction as the storm. After a series of sharp turns, the twister loops almost 270 degrees around Doswell. These erratic and unpredictable movements make this a very dangerous tornado.
Let's go. And I am completely mystified as to what was going on with that storm.
Then it started traveling north.
Get everybody inside because this is one big son.
And hit a industrial complex.
Belinda Waldrop works in that complex with her father. She isn't listening to the news.
I learned that there was a tornado outside the building when my dad came to the door of the office I was in and said, "Belinda, there's a tornado on the ground west of us." I'm curious. I said, "Can we look at it?" And he said, "Oh, no, we don't need to look at it. We need to get under some cover."
Belinda and her father dive for shelter as the twister slams towards them.
You could hear the tornado approaching. It was like a gyrating woof, woof, just a churning that just got gradually more intense and louder. The lights began to flicker as the pressure was building, and then the lights went out.
Whenever you first started seeing the real debris, the metal, the rooftops and all that, that's when it hit the first series of steel buildings in the industrial complex.
And then an explosion. The vacuum just took me up off the floor and slammed me into numerous things and was pulling me backward like a rag doll.
You're going to see some vehicles going into the air. Transport trailers and truck combination. Now these units weigh probably 22,000 pounds empty. These were sucked up and in the tornado and were going around and around.
Stubblefield and Doswell are among the few to ever film a tornado snatching up 3-ton trucks. This is a massively powerful twister, one that has Belinda Waldrop trapped in its ferocious grip.
When I was in it, everything's dark, and I just tried to keep my eyes closed to protect my eyes. I kept talking to myself, thinking, well, this is it.
And at that time, I just had a feeling of helplessness because there's nothing you can do. I mean, there's no way you can stop it, or make it go another direction or anything like that. And it was just a sick feeling.
That dropped me out here into the parking lot and just dropped me on my back, and I could see the cloud and the tornado. It looked like a white ghost just going up and taking off.
Belinda's encounter with the tornado is over, but Randy's is just beginning.
But when I realized that it was going to go into the city of Pampa,
Stubblefield jumps back into his car and races down the road, directly into the path of the tornado.
One of my deputies gets on the air and says, "Watch out, you're too close."
Be careful, you're almost there.
You know you're too close when debris starts coming in the car with you. I had my windows down and the trash from the circulation was coming into the car with me.
It's going into the city at this time.
It was headed right straight for the sheriff's office in the downtown section. Well, I had, at that time, about 65 prisoners in jail. And, we have a big, strong building, but this is a big, strong tornado.
The twister strikes Pampa, destroying or damaging 200 homes and 50 businesses. Most buildings in the industrial park are ripped off their foundations. Belinda is badly injured and in shock.
Of course, I was just stunned and numb. I really couldn't feel anything. I felt like my legs were probably broken. I couldn't get my bearings because there was no building. There were no landmarks that I recognized at all, and I was just taken back.
Fearing the worst, Belinda desperately searches for her father.
He was draped over a motor. He looked dead, honestly. He was limp, and he wasn't moving. I managed to scoot over close to him and started rubbing him. He woke up and turned his head, and there was blood, and you could just see this white eyeball. You could just terrified look, and I'll always remember that, just stark. And he immediately said, help me up, and I can't help you up, I can't get up either.
Emergency workers rush Belinda and her dad to the hospital. Both are in serious condition. 5 other residents also suffer injuries. Miraculously, there are no deaths. As the wounded begin their recuperation, experts study Stubblefield and Doswell's remarkable footage.
To tumble a 2 or 3 ton pickup truck along the ground and then hoist it into the air, this takes incredible wind speeds, probably in excess of 150 miles per hour.
Dave Llewellyn researches the strange and complex forces at work inside tornadoes.
In a tornado, the wind is not just swirling around, it's actually spiraling strongly inwards.
Llewellyn believes that once an object like a vehicle is airborne, it can be slammed to the ground by powerful center downdraft winds, then hurled back skywards by updraft winds. This brutal cycle renders the debris unrecognizable before it's finally spat out as a high-speed missile.
Amazing. That was 4,600 pounds according to the crane.
Scott Schiff and his team at Clemson University are studying the damage a tornado-hurled car can do.
We're really testing this roof slab here, and this was designed to be a shelter. It's about 10 inches thick of solid concrete with a double mat of steel reinforcement, so it's heavily reinforced. It's really designed to be able to take large debris impacts.
3, 2, 1, drop!
After multiple impacts, the slab begins to crumble.
So after that last impact, we now have a permanent deformation in the slab. That rebar that's down under that bottom mat there started to yield under the load, and we started to see some more concrete spalling down below there.
To counter multiple impacts, Schiff is designing a steel mesh net to catch loose debris. If that works, it will be a huge step forward in tornado protection.
We have this terrific F5 tornado. What we're looking for is that we are safe during the event and right after the event.
Despite the Pampa tornado's unpredictable movements and incredible power, no lives were taken. 608 kilometers away, another Texas town isn't so fortunate when a massive F5 twister turns tiny bits of dirt and wood into lethal weapons. And later, a mega tornado, one that scientists believe could destroy a major American city. The powerful F4 Pampa tornado tossed trucks, destroyed buildings, and threatened the lives of hundreds. But just one notch up the Fujita scale, an F5 twister turns into a killer. Its weapons, specks of dirt and splinters of wood. Gerald, Texas was founded in 1909. Located 64 kilometers north of Austin, the town never fully recovered from the decline of the cotton industry in the 1920s and 30s. In 1997, a tornado threatened to wipe Gerald off the map. From the beginning, the Gerald tornado smacks of something strange. On May 27th, a supercell forms over central Texas.
The Gerald tornado is memorable for a couple of things. One was it formed in conditions that at the time we thought were very unusual.
The massive supercell lacks strong vertical wind shear, an essential ingredient in typical tornado formation. Meteorologist Bill Gallus teaches tornado forecasting utilizing a virtual reality tornado simulator.
To get a tornado in nature, you need to have really two things. You need a very strong updraft or updraft and downdraft to help stretch the air in the vertical. And you also need to have some source of spin present.
Strong wind shear usually provides a tornado with its source of spin. Before Gerald, the conventional wisdom was that without strong wind shear, you don't get violent tornadoes. But the unusual atmospheric conditions over central Texas are about to prove the conventional wisdom wrong. Dead wrong. Here, the warm, moist air rises so forcefully it generates a super strong updraft, creating a very powerful and dangerous tornado. As the skies blacken and the winds rage, LaDonna Peterson and her 8-year-old son leave their mobile home for the safety of her mother-in-law's brick house.
I went outside and started watching the clouds outside because they were getting real thick, real dark, real heavy. And all of a sudden, I could hear in the distance, because the wind had picked up, the alarm going off in town.
Ken Adams doesn't hear the town alarm. He's asleep.
And the dog woke me up. And I could tell that dog was really scared. I knew something was wrong, but I don't hear well, but I could feel it. It was like a thunder that you couldn't hear, but you could feel it.
LaDonna's sister-in-law and young daughter join her in their mother-in-law's home. News reports place a tornado 3 kilometers away.
My sister-in-law and I went to a window, and we could actually see the tornado in the distance, but it was like it was just sitting there.
How do you keep something secret? You hide it in plain sight.
Just turning, not moving at all.
In fact, the tornado isn't standing still. Its forward movement is clocked at a slow pace of 16 kilometers per hour. But its internal wind speeds are reaching more than 420 kilometers per hour. Now a killer F5, it descends on the women's refuge.
Then all of a sudden we felt a gust of wind hit the house. We could actually see the asphalt being pulled up off of the street, up the road from us. We were sitting there and I said, God, please don't take my family. Then we felt a big gust of wind hit the house and the bathroom door flew open. And at that point, we just started feeling like mud and stuff start coming in, hay.
Minutes later, when Ken Adams walks outside to see why his dog is barking, he comes face to face with a nightmare.
It was so big at the base, probably a half a mile or 3/4 of a mile, that I didn't realize it was a tornado. And by the time that I did realize that it was too late to go anywhere, I ran to the house, opened the back door, and as I did, the door flew out of my hands and the roof of the house came off. I would sort of be picked up. The house would fall on me again.
Suddenly, the tornado is gone.
The whole country looked like it was in a nuclear blast of some type. When I first looked up, I thought I was dead. I mean, I really did.
Ken is wrenched back to reality when he's forced to take in the horror that surrounds him. More than 300 head of cattle were killed or injured by the tornado. Many that survived had to be shot because of the extent of their injuries.
Oh, it was terrible. There's about 300 acres over there, and most of it, you couldn't walk very far without smelling that old dead smell.
LaDonna's family emerges from the rubble of their home and into a wasteland. Nearly every home in their subdivision is obliterated. Many of their neighbors are nowhere to be seen. Others are badly injured.
Mrs. LaFrance was pinned under a tree, and her daughter was laying in the mud and had some really severe injuries to her legs and her arms. It was raining, and she was saying it was hurting her, hitting the open wounds, so the only thing I could find was a dirty blanket laying on the ground to cover her up with, just to keep the rain from hitting the wounds so bad. Later we found out that Mr. LaFrance had been killed in the tornado, and the daughter had been crying through the whole thing, wanting to know where her dad was.
27 people died that day. Half were children. Entire families killed. As scientists studied the Jarrell tornado, several intriguing facts came to light.
The thing that the tornado itself was interesting for was that it was moving very, very slowly, and it was large, and it collected a lot of debris to where the high wind speeds associated with the tornado were there for minutes in locations rather than just for a few seconds.
The tornado traveled approximately 16 kilometers per hour, significantly slower than the average 48 kilometer per hour twister. Another oddity was that most houses in the tornado's path were completely obliterated. After much study, experts found an answer. Physicist Dave Llewellyn's computer models illustrate their findings.
You can actually have thousands of tons of dirt in that debris cloud at any given time. And that dirt can change the internal structure of the tornado.
As the Gerald tornado passed over the open Texas plain, it picked up massive amounts of dirt, slowing down the funnel's forward movement while increasing its destructive power.
I think down low, that Gerald tornado probably acted like a giant sandblaster.
Llewellyn and others believe that instead of blowing apart homes with strong winds like some tornadoes, the Gerald twister destroyed structures via the massive force of wind-blown debris. The Gerald tornado was as ironic as it was tragic. Experts advise never to try and outrun a twister, but some who died in Gerald could have escaped the slow-moving storm in cars. Experts advise potential victims without storm shelters to hide in interior rooms like closets or bathrooms. But some in Gerald did exactly that and died anyway when their entire home was swept away. Still, because no two twisters are ever the same, experts advise that the best option is an underground shelter or safe room built to specific codes.
Are you? The Bud Light Genie? Yeah. So we get wishes? Metal hair. Yes.
Filthy rich.
So filthy. Giant bicep. Big one. What's next? Bud Lights?
I wish Peyton Manning was my best friend.
How we doing?
Oh, Post Malone.
Well, look at you. Nope.
Oh, good boy.
The Gerald tornado changed the way experts watch for twisters. They now view storm systems with low vertical wind shear as possible violent tornado producers. But no amount of vigilance or insight could stop the deadliest tornado in US history from killing hundreds. And later, a megatornado unseen in modern times threatens millions. The Gerald twister killed 27 people while changing the way experts keep vigil for potential tornado-producing storms. But there was no way to prepare for the deadliest tornado in US history, a brutal F5 that tore through 3 states, killing hundreds. On March 18, 1925, a single tornado slaughtered 695 people in Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana. The behemoth F5 blasted a 322-kilometer path of unstoppable annihilation that lasted for hours. Survivor accounts are chilling.
The air was filled with 10,000 things: boards, poles, whole sides of little framed houses. In some cases, the houses themselves were picked up and smashed to the earth, and living beings too. A baby was blown from its mother's arms. Children all around me were cut and bleeding. They cried and screamed. It was something awful.
The destruction was of mythic proportions, primarily because the killer struck an extremely vulnerable population.
People had very few ideas about how to deal with tornadoes. The country was largely rural instead of mostly metropolitan, and they had essentially no way to communicate with each other.
The town of Murfreesboro, where more than 100 people were killed, actually was hit more than 2 hours after the first fatalities from the tornado. And people wondered why hadn't any word gotten downstream, down the telephone lines or telegraph lines, that something was coming.
In 1925, several million people lived in small rural towns throughout Tornado Alley. Today, tens of millions call it home. Modern communication means better warnings, but evacuating a major city before an F5 strikes is still impossible. On May 3, 1999, the people of Oklahoma City faced the worst F5 in modern history.
May 3rd, 1999 tornado that went through Moore in southern Oklahoma City was one of the most damaging in the history of the United States, no matter how we look at the data.
Late in the afternoon of May 3rd, 1999, weather forecasters in Oklahoma carefully track multiple supercell storms and then the tornado reports that begin flooding in. At home with her 8-year-old son, Dana Grimm watches the local news.
We had been watching the coverage for hours. He said it just kept building momentum, getting bigger and bigger, and if you were above ground, you weren't going to make it.
The storm system is intense, complicated, and growing. Weather trackers watch in awe and shock as multiple storms produce multiple tornadoes.
Large tornado, very large tornado.
It seemed like just about every thunderstorm cloud that formed eventually produced a tornado at some point.
And there were times when you had the main tornado happening, and then we had what we call satellite tornadoes that would rotate around it. And they're completely separate tornadoes within the same storm system.
At about 6:25 p.m., a large tornado touches down just outside Amber, Oklahoma. Doppler radar records its wind speed at 512 kilometers per hour, the fastest twister ever documented. This is a monster, and it's hurtling towards Dana Grimm's home.
And they had said that it was a mile wide and just ferocious, and it was just destroying everything in its path.
With a giant wall of howling wind just 1.6 kilometers away, Dana and her son hide in a closet.
I remember my son, he was screaming and crying. He said, "Are we going to be okay?" I said, "We're going to be fine." He said, "What do we do?" And I said, "We pray."
Dana's fear turns to panic when she hears the tornado strike.
There was kind of a high-pitched squeal to it. And then, of course, the sound of everything, the windows just blowing out. The house was shaking. We could hear the beams in the roof breaking. The walls just lifted up and we could feel really cold air rushing underneath. And within seconds of that, the house just blew up. And I couldn't breathe. I had sucked in so much dirt that I couldn't even breathe anymore. I thought, this is it. And I remember just praying that, God, if this is it, I'm ready.
On the brink of death, the fierce tornado spares Dana's life by lifting her out of the suffocating dirt. When it slams her back to the ground, she's paralyzed with fear.
And I realized then that I didn't have my son. So I started screaming for him, and he came running over, and it was just a miracle of God because we were both barefoot. He came running over to me, did not have one puncture wound on his feet.
The F-5 continues towards the center of Oklahoma City, crossing major highways filled with rush hour traffic. As the tornado hurtles towards them, some people panic. They abandon their cars in a desperate attempt to find shelter. For a few, that decision has fatal consequences. 3 people seeking refuge under freeway overpasses are killed by debris and the sheer force of the wind. Stranded cars block escape routes for many others.
Shields Boulevard in Oklahoma City essentially became a huge parking lot, and it blocked people from being able to escape the tornado.
By the time the F-5 dissipates, 40 people are dead and nearly 700 injured.
My wife worked in the hospital in Norman that night, and she worked in the emergency room, and they were swamped, of course. She saw some really horrific injuries. People came in covered with splinters of wood, looked like pincushions, so much wood. Awful things.
Many survivors suffer multiple painful wounds from being impaled by debris. Cheryl Brown studied the injuries and deaths in Oklahoma.
There were also injuries that were related to debris being embedded inside the body, all the way from small splinters to very large objects such as 2x4s.
Many survivors suffered debris-related injuries because the tornado destroyed so many homes, spewing countless shards of wood and other material into the air. The Oklahoma twister leveled nearly 3,000 houses and structures.
3, 2, 1, fire!
73 miles an hour.
Schiff and his team at Clemson University fire 2x4s at more than 160 kilometers per hour into a variety of structures to represent the damage done during a tornado.
I think that the public understands that tornadoes are very dangerous. What they don't understand is that in typical construction, they have very little protection against those types of events.
When debris strikes a home, it does far more damage than simply making a hole in a wall or window.
Fire!
It gives the tornado a point of entry. Once inside, inflowing air can rip apart walls and tear off the roof. The home then becomes part of the tornado's arsenal, further fueling the funnel with debris and making it even more destructive.
This type of construction is very typical for residential, brick veneer in front of a wood frame wall.
Fire!
The missile's gone all the way through the wall cavity. Most people that have this type of house would be vulnerable to an F5 tornado.
Fire!
Schiff's experiments determined that for a home to withstand the deadly onslaught of debris, the brick veneer must have an 8 centimeter thick backing of concrete.
So this wall here would be suitable for a shelter to resist tornadoes.
Most homes in Oklahoma City were brick veneer with wood frames. This common construction, coupled with the sheer number of homes in the tornado's path, increased the debris field exponentially. Dana Grimm survived with a broken back, her son with a puncture wound to his chest.
I truly believe that the reason that I was thrown twice, if I had not been picked back up and thrown again, I would have suffocated because I could not breathe in anymore.
Upset stomach? Iberogast. Indigestion? Iberogast. Bloating? Iberogast. Thanks to a unique combination of herbs, Iberogast helps relieve 6 digestive symptoms to help you feel better. 6 digestive symptoms, the power of nature. Iberogast.
Hey, I'm Katie with StreamYard, and today I'm going to teach you about our new feature, Local Recordings. We are super excited to give you even more ways to level up your recordings, podcasts, webinars, whatever you make on StreamYard. All of these methods of content creation are already possible in StreamYard, but local recording makes post-production and repurposing your content easier and cleaner than before. Local recordings on StreamYard.
10 supercell storms spawned 70 tornadoes that spring day, including the F5 that cut a 24-kilometer path over interstate highways and devastated several suburbs of Oklahoma City.
It was sad. I think there were 14 in our own housing edition that died. And it's a miracle of God that we didn't.
The Oklahoma tornado caused more than $1 billion in damage, the costliest tornado in U.S. history.
Complete and total devastation. The homes that you see over here now were completely gone. It was a rubble pile. If you had been in the open, it would not have been a very pleasant place to be.
Things would have been much worse if the tornado had veered just 16 kilometers to the west, striking the heart of downtown Oklahoma City. Even so, the Moore, Oklahoma tornado and its companion twisters rank as the most deadly and destructive outbreak in modern history. They would be far surpassed by an F5 striking a major American city. That would be a mega disaster, one experts warn could happen. Every year, major U.S. cities in Tornado Alley play a game of Russian roulette with massive twisters that wreak havoc there. In 1999, Oklahoma City lost the game when a giant tornado killed 40 people, injured nearly 700, and racked up costs of more than $1 billion. Only sheer luck kept the tornado from striking downtown. Researcher Scott Ray knows the next major city to be struck by an F5 may not be so fortunate.
Dallas is overdue for a large violent class tornado.
Dallas, Texas is a boomtown sprawled along the southern boundary of Tornado Alley. It's one of the largest and fastest growing metro areas in the US, with more than 5 million residents and 600 corporate headquarters. Dallas is 10 times larger than Oklahoma City.
I was shocked a bit when I saw some of the aerial footage of Oklahoma City. The amount of damage that had occurred in that was pretty amazing.
Ray assists local governments with planning for hazards, especially threats from tornadoes. To help Dallas prepare for a possible mega disaster, he has modeled over 60 different scenarios of how the Dallas region would be affected by a violent tornado.
For reasons of credibility, it was very important that we look at an event that actually had occurred somewhere else. So we took the event in Oklahoma City basically because the data was very good for that particular event, and we could transpose it by just moving those same geographical characteristics of the tornado on top of the geography of Dallas-Fort Worth. So we got to see it kind of from our own perspective.
Ray and his team painstakingly overlaid the exact path taken by the Oklahoma tornadoes over the Dallas-Fort Worth area. A mega disaster unfolds when Oklahoma's F5 tornado rampages through downtown Dallas.
It would easily be the worst damaging tornado event that we have had to date in the U.S.
Ray's nightmare scenario begins as a supercell storm forms over north-central Texas. A 160-kilometer-per-hour tornado, an F3, touches down in a dusty field 10 miles southwest of Dallas. Its first target is the suburb of Cockrell Hill. While packing winds in excess of 320 kilometers per hour, cars are tossed aside, buildings are decimated. The tornado continues northeast, unrelenting in its assault on thousands of homes. The twister's internal wind speeds rise past 400 kilometers per hour, turning it into an F5. Fueled by tons of debris, the giant tornado slows as it descends on the busy freeway.
A clogged highway holds a heck of a lot more people than one that is moving comfortably. And the other problem that you have is where do you go?
Panic ensues as many abandon their cars, creating a traffic jam that traps thousands. The 443-kilometer-per-hour winds effortlessly swat cars off the highway.
Shopify has everything you need to grow your retail business, like fast and secure checkout, reliable card readers, and one place to track all your in-store and online sales. Start your free trial today at www.shopify.com/retailpos.
Arby's made chicken wraps 2 for $5 because it's impossible to pick a favorite.
Anyone hiding under an overpass is vulnerable to flying debris and violent winds. Cars snatched up by the powerful updraft winds are spun around inside a giant vortex, then shot out, creating a dangerous hazard for anyone in their path. Next, the deadly twister approaches downtown Dallas. Dozens of skyscrapers and tens of thousands of people crowd the city. Giant glass windows shatter. Marble and bricks are ripped off buildings. A deadly shower of glass and other debris rains down onto the crowd below.
Most of the skyscrapers in the Dallas-Fort Worth area are predominantly covered with glass on the outside, and that's not very durable. But the amount of damage from getting wind and broken glass spread out through a downtown area is going to be pretty dramatic.
A packed commuter train snakes through the city. It swept off the tracks and slammed into a skyscraper, killing hundreds in the train and office buildings.
There's little doubt that debris would be probably the largest generator of damage in the Metroplex, and it's basically because there's so much of it that can be generated, and you name it, it could be wood, bricks, gravel, just about anything you can imagine can become a projectile, and with almost unlimited supply.
The tornado continues north, leaving the wreckage of downtown Dallas behind. Tornadic winds more than 500 kilometers per hour now descend on the suburban landscape of Lakewood. The 92,000 people living here have had up to 20 minutes to seek underground shelter, a seemingly reasonable chance for survival. But like the Jarrell, Texas twister, those hiding in closets or bathrooms can only pray. Finally, the worst tornado in history slowly drifts skyward and dissipates. The war zone behind it is 61 kilometers long. Dallas is devastated.
I don't think there's any way to really sugarcoat an event. It's going to be difficult to deal with regardless. There's going to be a lot of damage. There are going to be a lot of people that need help.
Total damages approach $5 billion. Tens of thousands are homeless and scores injured. The death toll is unknown.
Fatalities are difficult to really quantize because they involve people making decisions. And there are good decisions that can be made, bad decisions. We don't know what decision they're going to make.
The best decision city planners can make is to prepare with multiple underground shelters, rehearsed evacuation plans, and a vigilant public. But even that won't likely be enough.
I think it would pretty much be impossible financially to build a city that could really survive violent class tornadoes or, any scenario like that.
With increasing populations in major metropolitan cities throughout Tornado Alley, science is in a life or death race against time to understand one of Mother Nature's biggest secrets.
In an ideal world, we'd have radar or other instrument measurements on every tornado that occurs. In the practical world that we live in, that's just not going to happen.
Okay, this storm in the next hour is going to produce this type of tornado. We're just not there yet, and it's hard to say when we'll be there. We've certainly got a ways to go.
Given the limited ability to predict tornadoes, there is a very real cause for concern.
Most people think about disasters as very random events that can happen to them. And I think that holds true with tornadoes as well.
If you wait long enough, something resembling the worst case scenario is going to happen eventually.
Until science learns more about these brutal forces of nature, the only thing that can be done is to prepare before a mega disaster strikes.
Can you see it?
No, I can't see it.
Let me check.
Its ugly head.
And then out the side to our south, somebody spots a tornado touching down very close to us in the field. I can't see it. Wow! What a
A day that started like any other.
I went outside and it was a beautiful day. I mean, it was 90-something degrees, sun beaming down.
So beautiful, they couldn't imagine what was about to happen.
I said, hey guys, they're telling us there's a bad storm coming, so y'all pay attention. And they looked up and they told me I was crazy.
And that storm would change the lives and the town of Jarrell for decades.
The Jarrell tornado has shaped a lot of my either conscious or unconscious decisions.
The storm destroyed families, leaving devastated survivors to rebuild their town and community.
I mean, I still talk to friends of mine from my class from 25 years ago. You know, they have kids that go to school here now and we see each other, but just how strong the bond is. Nobody nobody can really know that.
This is the Gerald tornado, 25 years later. On this day, 25 years ago, May 27, 1997, Mother Nature's fury struck the small central Texas town of Gerald with a massive F5 killer tornado that took the lives of 27 people. The storm showed them no mercy, claiming the lives of men, women, children, and livestock.
In the wake of the storm, townspeople were left with having to pick up the pieces, saying their final farewells to friends and neighbors, all while the world was watching. All eyes were on the first responders who answered the call to help.
It's bad down there. I wouldn't go down there. Well, they're vacating it down there. Our units are vacating the area and moving south.
The death and devastation caused by an F5 tornado in Gerald 25 years ago left first responders overwhelmed. When Kevin Cranky, a commander at Williamson County EMS, first arrived on scene, basic communication was a problem.
Cell phones weren't working, the paging system was down, and it was very hard to communicate.
And to communicate what he saw that day, he goes back in time and carefully chooses his words.
It had taken out the asphalt, the house, everything, and it looked like a muddy field at the time.
We ask that you leave this area immediately.
Miles away, Constable Gary Griffin was helping people along I-35, where they are surrounded by funnel clouds.
Big one's over there, that one, there was another one over there, there was another one over there. They were all scared. I was scared.
Eventually, Constable Griffin arrives in Gerald, where his earlier fright turned to sorrow, where the search for survivors quickly turned into recovery efforts, and he emotionally recalls one discovery.
She was a mom holding on to her. They were just holding each other. And they died that way.
Emergency workers weren't the only ones trying to help that day. A father and son duo, Billy and Danny Williams, sprang into action as well. And these civilian searches weren't prepared for what they volunteered for.
I've never seen anything as devastating as that.
I expected to find something, and we didn't find anything, except for just wreckage and bodies.
I didn't even bother to take any pulses because they were gone. There was nothing anyone could do for me.
A quarter of a century later, those answering the call to help, the people of Gerald, know they did all they could for those who called Double Creek Estates home.
I think the people out there probably took the best shelter available. I think they ran to an interior closet, an interior room, a hallway. They shut all the doors to the hallway. Folks, if you've seen what's left of those houses out there, it wouldn't matter.
It's my first tornado. Hope it's my last.
So this Gerald tornado was the last F5 in Texas history. This was a tornado with winds estimated at 260 miles per hour, a tornado that really is an upper echelon event.
I'll always remember that day as being one of the most oppressive days. We had a front just to the northwest of us, and we had a terribly unstable atmosphere. But you know what was lacking that day? The upper level winds. They were not that strong, so we weren't looking at a big day. Mother Nature taught us something there.
That means that some of these areas were experiencing these maximum winds for maybe a minute or two.
And also keep in mind, Hunter, that storm went through a huge metamorphosis. Just north of here, it had been a relatively weak tornado in the general sense. And then as it moved into Gerald, it strengthened into the what was called the F5 at the time. Dr. Fujita referred to the EF5 as incredible damage, and I always thought, incredible? Is that a scientific word?
Right.
But Dr. Fujita, in one of his talks many years ago, explained to us very simply, as you see incredible things. And I will tell you, in the Gerald tornado, we saw incredible things. We had reports of cattle whose skin was actually removed by the abrasive force of the debris in the tornado. And as we pointed out, you really, as a first responder into these type situations, don't go into an EF4 or EF5 tornado expecting to find human bodies. You find parts of human bodies, and that was the dilemma that the first responders faced.
And it's amazing to think Gerald at the time in 1997 was a town of 400 people.
Yeah.
So you have 27 of those 400 people. And it's just clear to me as you walk down this road, like you said, this is a community that the day after that tornado was not the same.
Courtesy of my friends in the Georgetown Police Department, I was able to get into a helicopter. And the one thing I remember about this roadway is seeing the roadbed in a section exposed. But I'm told that probably Jarrell has the most underground shelters of anywhere around South Central Texas.
And you know what? That is one of the things that I noticed. We walk right down the street here. That home has an underground storm cellar right now, and that is because of the storm that moved through
that's
here.
That's post-1997.
Right. And at the end of this road was Miss Virginia's house, who was the woman who was lofted by the tornado and found near her bathtub in a field over there, which goes to show you tornado shelter is the best place to be, but there were some people in this area that were hit by the tornado and were able to survive.
Absolutely, and that's why we tell people no matter what, when you hear a tornado warning, you don't need to be deciding if it's an EF 1, 2, 3, or 4 based for your decision to be made. Go to that lowest floor. Put as many walls between you and the tornado. Do what Miss Virginia did. Get in a bathtub, pull something over on top of you, because you can survive.
While the twister churned a path of death and destruction through the heart of Jarrell, there were miracle survivors.
Secure and easy for her, for him, for them, for me, for the three of us, and for you.
For me?
Yes, everyone. Crypto security made easy for everyone. Confidently secure your crypto with the easiest to use self-custodial hardware, wallet, and app. Trezor, the most respected, tried, and trusted gold standard of crypto security since 2000.
I remember it. Went inside, I got a blanket and got in the bathtub and put it over me.
I got in the tub and just started praying.
I guess I was just waiting to die.
Virginia Davidson and Heike Bellman, two women with similar stories and vivid memories of what happened to them on May 27th, 1997.
There was like about 5 minutes of furniture and jumping up and down and washer and dryer jumping up and down, the house shaking, and a lot of rumbling noises for about 5 minutes. And then all of a sudden I felt the bathtub moving.
And I heard the windows splinter. I heard the wood start to crack. I felt the moorings give way, and I felt it pick the whole house up and dump it over.
About 5 minutes of debris beating on my body while it was flying through the air. It started off in the bathtub, but when I landed, I didn't see a bathtub.
And the bathroom landed in those trees there.
And then all of a sudden I just gradually felt it letting up, and I was able to get up and walk away.
As Virginia went through her ordeal, her husband Jim was rushing home. She had a deep cut on her leg and was badly bruised, but miraculously, she was alive.
I just grabbed her. I just wasn't expecting to find her alive after I saw the house. So I just can't believe anything lived through that thing.
At the same time, another anxious husband was racing towards his Double Creek home. As Virginia and Heike experienced their worst nightmare, nearby, Gabriela Hernandez's wife, Isabella Maria, and their young children were in survival mode.
When she saw the tornado coming, real close, about 2 miles away from here, she was real scared.
As Hernandez got closer and closer to home, unthinkable thoughts entered his mind.
I knew something real bad. Before, you can see all the houses.
Now, the houses were gone, and the sight left him in awe.
You can see all the way to the other end.
But Hernandez had faith and a storm shelter underneath his home, and his prayers of finding his family alive were answered when they emerged from their underground hiding place.
She was surprised real bad because she didn't see nothing around. I mean, all the houses was gone, everything, was gone.
And what remained was his entire world.
I have my family here.
To this day, many wonder why them and not me. They soon discovered they weren't alone. Psychologically, many are still dealing with survivor's guilt.
I just dropped down on my knees before I left out of the office, and I said, God, take me if you take somebody, because they've got families.
Without hesitation, Brenda Cooper was willing to give her own life.
Oh, I had lived a good life.
If it meant sparing another's.
We're tearing something apart.
When the winds picked up,
We were just getting hammered with leaves and paper and shreds and everything.
and the tornado neared,
Then you could see it lifting up and going over that way.
Cooper sought shelter deep in her family's rock quarry. When the coast was clear, she and her son headed out to First Street to help.
So I knew the officer and I said, "What can we do?" He said, "Do you have rubber-tired loaders?" And I said, "Yes." He said, "Bring them, please, quick." I got a hold of my son and one of our workers, and I said, "Come on, let's go to Double Creek."
So you were helping to pick up the debris?
Well, that's what we thought, but we were actually picking up bodies. They were picking up body parts and putting them into those buckets of the tractors.
And I describe it as some things that no one should ever see.
Chris Arlt was 16.
At first, I felt guilty whenever we had, some of my classmates that passed away.
Psychiatrist Joanne Sotelo says survivor's guilt is very common, and those feelings should never be minimized, regardless of how much time has passed.
It's almost confusing, right? Because people don't understand. You survived. Why are you feeling bad? And it could come from, why me? Why am I special? Like it happened to someone else and not to me. Or they also have a guilt of, I could have done more and I didn't, especially if they were there.
Every time they say tornado warning, we pay attention.
The thoughts, the fear resurface when severe weather hits, just like in March.
It came back really quick.
A tornado formed in the same area in Gerald.
The route was coming from the west, headed north, headed that way, when that other one came, because County Road 305 got hit again.
Arlt also says he's definitely become hyper aware of any change in the forecast.
It kind of makes the hair stand up on the back of your neck when there's thunderstorms or, thoughts of tornadoes, even the mention of tornado warnings, it just everything kind of stops.
And he stops and thinks about the friends he lost.
John Ruiz was in my class, and then Eric Mooring was also in my class. Probably a day or two before, we were just up here running, playing basketball all day long.
Dr. Sotelo says it's important to hold on to the positive memories like that, but also have awareness. If you find yourself feeling uneasy, there are ways to cope.
Establish the sense of safety. Allow yourself permission to grieve and feel the emotions, share them. If it starts to interfere with your day-to-day functioning, do seek help.
Not necessarily with a professional, but just connect with other people. Talk and share your feelings.
For people living in Gerald, the deadly storm still haunts many. But for one KVUE photojournalist, the memories that haunt him are the ones he saw firsthand through the lens of his camera.
The sometimes powerful images we see on TV news. It's the job of the photojournalist to take these pictures. People like Scott Guest, who's been capturing live and on tape the big news stories for decades. Scott is in his 28th year as a photojournalist for KVUE. He's pretty much seen it all through his viewfinder. And on May 27, 1997, Scott witnessed firsthand the fury of nature. Like first responders, news photographers are often first on the scene of disasters. Scott's Gerald tornado story begins at a routine mid-afternoon newsroom meeting at the KVUE studios.
In the afternoon meeting, the weather person came in and said, hey, this is a huge storm. It's already spawned a tornado in Waco, and it's continuing to come this direction.
We are picking up an apparent rotation in this particular storm.
Well, me and Greg Rugen just jumped in the car and we started driving north. I was scanning constantly while I was driving. Out of the cloud, I saw the needle start to come down. Parked on the frontage road real quick and jumped out as fast as I could and started shooting. And as we continued to watch it, it slowly closed the distance on us.
Some reporters wait their whole life to see a twister. There it is, full grown and about 1,000 yards from I-35.
I'll never forget that Greg Grugan, he's like, okay, man, at some point we gotta move. And so we tore down and moved. But as soon as we set back up again, it was even larger. It was tremendously large, way bigger than anything that we had witnessed up to that point. We had to remain and go into Jarrell from where it hit, just moments after it had happened. It just looked like a muddy field. And we talked to a couple people and asked him, where are the houses?
From where those people are standing in the yellow jacket right there, from there over was houses.
What was a neighborhood with grass yards and everything was now just foundations and mud.
Just massive destruction.
And I kind of felt sick to my stomach, and we had to stay there for like a week. It really powerfully affected me, how I thought about news after that point and shooting events like that.
With eBay Authenticity Guarantee, it's checked by experts. Every dial, crown, and bezel. So you'll always get that feeling of real.
The historic F5 tornado may have destroyed much of Jarrell, but it did not destroy the will of the people to move forward.
They will never forget the 27 who died.
Developments are going up all over town. More schools are being built as Jarrell ISD prepares to go from under 3,000 students this year to more than 10,000 in the next 10 years. Still a small Central Texas town, but the dynamics are changing. The latest census data shows more than 2,300 people call it home.
At points in time in the quiet of the night, I kind of sit there and go, how the hell are we going to keep up with this thing?
Larry Bush was elected to the city council in 2007 before he became